people had gotten to the point where they had their nose.
Come on, Reverend.
And in order for them to see anybody else, they had to condescend and come down to their level.
All right.
He says, I loved you with a great love, and then you got too high for yourselves. And you committed a great sin. And you see, whenever you think that you are self-sufficient, whenever you believe that you pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, whenever you think that it was your ingenuity, your knowledge, your sense that brought you where you are, you stand the chance of thinking you can make it without God.
All right.
And in Israel began to forget about God. They began to put more trust in alliances. They hooked up with Egypt. They even hooked up with the Assyrians. They hooked up with even their natural enemies in order to secure for themselves what they felt to be security.
All right.
Somebody said politics. Breed strange bedfellows. Folk who can't even stand each other would join together to fight a common enemy. Are y'all gonna pray with me? Folk who don't even have the same perspectives will come together to fight a common enemy. And Israel had hooked up with the enemies of heaven to try and form an alliance that they felt would make them stronger. And y'all looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. Let me tell you, be careful when you put your trust in anybody or anything or any institution over God. Don't you know God speaks and institutions crumble? God speaks and alliances will break down. The folk who were up yesterday can be down this afternoon. When you look at how far you've come, what all you've been blessed with, you better sing like Daryl Coley. Nobody but Jesus. Israel committed a great sin. She separated herself from God. She still went to church, but it wasn't for God. She still had worship, but it wasn't to lift up God. It was a social order. Y'all ain't saying nothing. It was a networking. They went to church so that the community would know they were good churchmen and great church women. But they didn't come to bow their heart and their knees and call on him who woke them up that morning. Yes, my brothers and my sisters, Israel's pride and ingratitude prepared her to become an idolater. She began to trust stuff more than the God that creates stuff. She began to trust her alliances, her money, her political power. Began to trust it more than God. She forgot how good God had been to her. And my brothers and my sisters, one thing I like about God is that he is a gentleman. If you don't want him, he's not gonna beat you down. No. He says, whosoever will, let him come. But watch what God will do. He'll do like mom and daddy used to do us. Told us and told us what we ought to do, what we ought not do. Sometimes for them to whip us was not the worst thing. Sometimes they let us fall into the trap of our own decisions. Sometimes they let us just brew in the stew that we had created. Some of y'all don't still understand me. Sometimes they let us lay in the bed we made. Oh, y'all ain't saying nothing. And God said to Israel, that's what I'm going to do. You want to be all by yourself. You want to be self-sufficient, then supply your needs. You want to be God all by yourself. Wake your own self up in the morning. You say you got it, you can handle it, you can take care of it. Good. You fight your enemies and you come up against those who would try to crush you down. You handle your stuff. And isn't it a shame when God leaves us to handle our own stuff? See, it's easy. It's easy to be big and bad when you got God with you. Oh yeah, I can talk about him. He's not here this morning. But my little brother Tim, when he was young, and he'd be at the court shooting, and the fellas at the court would get the best of him, he'd come home and get his big brother. And y'all, you know, I didn't have to do a thing. I just walked back to the court with him. And it doesn't mean a lot now, but there's 13 years difference in Tim's age. So when he was 10, y'all understand what I'm saying? And so I would just walk on the court, and I never had to say a thing. It was just my presence. Come on, talk to me in here. Just my presence changed the atmosphere. God said, you can handle it. Go on to the court, but I'm not going with you. Go on the job, but I'm not going with you. Handle your family, but I'm not going to be with you. And somebody, if you would just come out of your church mode just 1 minute and be real with me. It's a lonely place when you're living without God. When you've got to deal with life on life's terms without God, life will beat you down. When you've got to try and make it in the midst of all of the problems that come upon us in life, you will soon feel defeated. You'll anesthetize yourself as much as you can. You'll find an escape. Any way that you can. You will. There goes the devil again. That's all right. You will do whatever you can to try and get away from the problems that are coming directly at you, only to find out that every problem is larger than your ability. All right. Every situation is stronger than your strength. And so you'll find yourself in midstream without God, up the creek without a paddle. All right. You'll find yourself trying to make it without any help. All right. And my brothers and my sisters, there's nothing worse than trying to make it without some help. All right. There's nothing like trying to make it when you have nobody that you can depend on. And I'm here to tell you, I know many of us think that we're all that and a bag of chips and a Diet Coke, but you can't do it by yourself. Life